And they're there, sorry, that big old red button sitting there staring at me in the face. But they're there to learn a different way and not be ostracized by society because that's what that person has been feeling. So sometimes they'll mentally shut down. Does that make sense? So when you show that unconditional love of, didn't I go over this with you, and you're not beating them down and saying, you know what, what's wrong with you? What are you, stupid? You didn't do any of those things. You stayed right there and you said, you know what, hey, even though I repeated this thing more than a dozen times, I'm willing to repeat it 1,000 more times because I want you to get over the hump.
Glory God.
That is a form of unconditional love, whether you put it in those words or not, but it's still the action that goes into it that makes it value. Does that make sense?
It's almost undefinable.
It's undefinable.
Because there's so many facets.
So many facets to what unconditional love is, but notice what we don't say. Judgment. No judgment in this. And once we get you out of judgment, then you'll leave fear. And the beautiful thing is, no one has judged these people. So you've already mastered not judging them. So the battle is half won. So now it's just a matter of putting the pieces together and making it flow. And this is why when we did the 30 days of unconditional love challenge, we had to do 30 days because it takes 2 weeks just for your mind to get in that frame of mind.
Right, that's true.
It takes 2 weeks
on purpose
to be in that habit. When you went to basic training, 2 weeks, and you was conformed to.
You knew that, you knew push-ups.
You knew that, you knew push-ups. You knew yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. You knew that within 2 weeks, right? So that 2 weeks helps you shape who you are in your relationship to God and what love is. Because when you practice that, you can't judge anybody and you can't be fearful. It is impossible. That's why he says you either love one or hate the other. You can't do both. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And here's a blessing in all of this. In all of that, there's healing.
Glory to God.
You're healing this young woman of what people would call a dis-ease or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with this person. They just think differently. They just learn differently. They look at things differently, other than how we did.
Right.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So now as teachers, we have the puzzle box, and now we're trying to put the puzzle to this brain that is unique and lovable. Because once you put that love in it, guess what? She'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get it, you'll see the physical pain go away because she can't focus on that when she's been loved on.
Wow, that's good.
Hope y'all got that.
I got that. Glory to God.
So when you start looking at the unconditional love portion of it, even when Anson is asking about benevolence, that is compassion. That is the greatest compassion toward another that you don't even know. I don't have to know your name. I don't have to know your race. I don't have to know your color. I don't have to know nothing other than you are a loving being. Mm-hmm. And I brought you, and here's the beautiful thing about benevolence. You draw those into that experience to have compassion and learn how to be benevolent, how to give of yourself. And as you give of yourself, you're giving unconditional love to that person who don't love themselves.
That's good.
Sudi hit it right on the head.
Wow.
And this is what the benevolence does. Help people love themselves when they don't feel loved, when they don't value who they are. And then when they see Anson, man, they light up. He had a testimony about the grumpy guy on the plane. And Anson, do you mind sharing that testimony? I don't want to spoil it, but it's incredible. But that is part of this benevolence. And he did it in such a unique way. Anson, do you mind? I mean, I know I'm sorry, I know he's eating. I keep forgetting. Would you mind sharing that? All right.
So during my trip back 2 days ago, from my flight from after transiting from Taiwan to Canada. In that 12-hour flight, as soon as I sat down, at the other side of the aisle, there's this older gentleman, and I knew he was from Sudan because he had a lot of rings around him, and he was the crankiest guy on the plane that I noticed. And he wasn't, and I noticed that he was tired, just like I am, because we have to fly for the next 12 hours. But he was also cursing quietly, whispering to himself, which I still can hear. And he was just not happy. He was tired, and there were kids crying, and the person behind him was kicking, and so he was just in a very bad mood. And I wasn't disturbed by any of the noises because I was wearing my headphones, but I thought to myself, I think this plane should really be a peaceful flight, mainly because we're going to be all together in this plane for the next 12 hours. And I do hope that this man, this gentleman will be able to have a peaceful time to sleep, and he'll be able to regain his energy, and he'll be feeling much better at the end of the flight. So each hour passed by, and I noticed that he changed from being very cranky, and he started becoming more and more peaceful, to a point where he was able to sleep. Not just that, he was able to sleep and snore. So I was pretty happy about that. And so when he woke up, I managed to chat with him for a little while, and he told me that you're really different as a young kid. And I was like, what do you mean a young kid? Like, how young are you thinking? It's like, aren't you like 17 or 18? It's like, no, I'm like 28. and then he told me that, yeah, you oh, okay, you're a very young kid, but I can tell you have a very old soul. And they just gave me a shock because very few people actually acknowledge me as a very old soul. Most of them actually tell me that, I'm like a young kid at heart, and that's about it. And we chatted for a little while, and he seemed to be regaining more of his happiness. And at the end of the flight, he told me that he was glad that he met me in the plane, and thankfully the plane ride was very peaceful, and we said our goodbyes after that. Yeah.
Good job. That's good.
But that's benevolence.
Wow.
That's compassion. You wanted this person, including yourself, to have a good flight out of kindness and not disturb everybody else. And Anson, everybody else quieted down in the plane. Wow.
That's good.
You can't change people and you can't change the world, but we can influence based on how high we raise our vibration. And all it took was a simple thought of, I want him to have peace, or I want him to have whatever it was.
Good. That's real good.
I want in other words, I want something for this person who can't, watch this, who can't get it for themselves because they're cursing. They're in a place of resistant thinking. But then all of a sudden, what comes over them? He's glancing at you. You don't know he's glancing at you. Why is this kid over here happy, got music on, bobbing his head? We're 30,000 feet in the plane. My ears are popping. These kids are loud. My reins are swollen. My feet hurt.
Wow. He could have given it to that man's emotion, but he decided to raise the vibration.
Exactly.
Not only himself, but the whole
He could have went,
flight.
12 hours? And this kid is And I got a friend who's at the airport right now, Milton, who's gonna have a blessed flight. But look at how he influenced everybody through that compassion. Just having a loving, kind thought for another being is all it takes. And we try to make it so complex. Watch this. You didn't have to do 1,000 chants, and you didn't have to say 1,000 prayers.
Just one thought.
One thought that was positive, and you went into that emotion of, I can just imagine this person, and I'm exaggerating, but I can imagine this person being comfortable and sleeping and reclining, and then going into a deep place and forgetting all his problems to everybody in the plane going, how you sleep like that? You see what I mean?
That's good.
That is the unconditional love. That is the compassion. That is benevolence. We are that. We are that. When you say, what is benevolence, say me. People try to look for it in a book, and it gives you a great definition, but at the end of the day, it's you. It's your act of kindness toward another person.
Wow, that's good.
Because at one point, we're all going to be in a place of what? Need.
Glory to God.
And we need each other to help raise. I need y'all just like you need me. Wow. Pastor, you need me? Absolutely. What, I'm going to preach to this sofa?
Praise God.
Because not only do I teach, I learn. I learn from each and every one of you, because that's what a good teacher does.
That's true.
And we all grow and evolve together.
Right. It's true.
And it's not one of those things where, oh, you have to do it this way, and it's not confined. But you define it. Oh, not confined, but you define it. Do you get that?
I got it.
That's unconditional love. And that is the place and the space that you take yourself to, where how can you be in another place when there's so much love in your heart? Can't exist. Does that make sense?
Good. That's good.
And once we practice that, it becomes a habit. That's why after 2 weeks, it became a habit. And the first thing we start saying is, okay, have a satisfying thought. Look through another person's eyes of source and love. And, you know, we gave all the examples and affirmations. The more you practice that, the more these things were attracted to you. Call it reaping and sowing, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. You were brought those experiences unto yourselves to help you experience what love is, what benevolence is, how to pray for others.
You know, we have that experience when we go to the park. We went, I think I texted you, we went at 5:30 this morning. But I noticed that now it's like we are known for at the park, where we pray for people. They know us, and they'll say, you guys are doing it again. And we feel the love, and I know they can feel the love. People will literally stop and say, I like that. I hear you guys talking.
The call.
I hear your conversations.
They hear that.
And now I'm understanding that's the benevolence.
That's the benevolence of it. Oh,
just going there. But we were just thinking we were just going there to just to hang out and pray. But we didn't realize that. And you told us that. You said you're going to, you know, impact the people on the park.
And look at that impact. But
even
watch
the
this.
dogs.
Watch this. Now it takes the whole, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen, because what you ask for, you're going to get. We going to hang out is a simple thought, but look at this. We're going in love.
Right.
Whatever that means in terms of we're not fighting and bickering. There's no separation between us in this moment and time in the now. And as we go, we're blessing everybody and blessing things, and we're looking at the trees and the birds and the bees and the flowers and the clouds and everything. And people notice that.
They did.
They are drawn to that like a moth to a flame, because they want that love. They went, watch, I hope y'all get this. Y'all drew them to you to have that experience. Y'all caught. Ooh.
So they're coming to the park. Glory to God.
What brought them there? What brought all y'all there at that same place in the now for them to say, you know what? I could have been here tomorrow at this time, and y'all could have been somewhere else.
Was the love.
It was the love that they were seeking.
Wow.
Got up at 5 o'clock to go get some love. And a lot of them, watch this, a lot of them got up and went, I'm going to try to get some peace.
That's true.
And quiet. And to clear my head. And then when they get there, y'all have planted the seeds and planted the seeds and planted the seeds that is vibrated so much that now people are approaching you verbally.
They do.
and they want what you have. So now, guess what? They setting their clock to you. Because now you become a blessing to them.
Wow.
Then as they take that blessing away from that trail, that holy place that y'all, ooh, you hear what I call it? That holy place.
Right.
For every place that your sole of your foot just tread upon, we've given you dominion over all of it in love.
Right.
And as they take that love with them, they have a joyful experience back home. And guess what they do? They take that love back into the home that had the problem, and there's the solution.
Wow, that's good.
You don't see it, but the effects are there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And this is how we move those mountains away from the people's minds, because they have to see that. People have to be shown. This is a show and tell planet all day long. You got to see it, taste it, touch it, feel it, and what? Hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wants to get the knowing of it.
My God.
Get to know it. And once you know it, then you can embrace it. And everybody comes and gets braced, because now healing occurs in their body. Now they take that healing and goes heal other people.
Oh, God.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now when we practice an unconditional love, God only creates an unconditional what? Love. In the highest love that can exist, and God loves everything He has created unconditionally. This is what it means to have the mind of Christ. For those who don't know, that is the perfect mind of freedom. That is the perfect mind of freedom. Everything that we have talked about is the perfect mind of freedom. Do you understand that? I hope everybody get that. If don't get it, who don't understand that? Everybody got that thumbs up? Yes? Mm-hmm. All right. And when you have the perfect mind of freedom, you change airplanes. That gives me chills on the testimonies, because you can physically see it. Mm-hmm. I want y'all to notice what Anson said. Anybody catch what he said in his testimony on the airplane? He might not have caught it himself, but we caught it clear as day because it rang out to us. He says, I noticed hour by hour. He didn't say these words, but the vibration from this man began to what?
Change.
There was a transformation happening.
Wow.
He, who was grumpy, raised the vibration. Watch this. Got infected by the person behind him, and that row, 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 and that row. Now that whole section and the whole plane is full of love. Not one person did you hear complain about that flight.
Good job.
I didn't hear Anson say not one time somebody complained about the flight.
So he changed the whole
dynamic
of that thing
by a simple, loving, benevolent, compassionate thought for someone else who couldn't reach and get it for themselves. And here's the thing. We encounter how many people like that daily? Mm-hmm. Daily we meet them like that. Daily we meet them like that. And so much we want them to be awake and free and get it. But this is how you do it. One person at a time that affects those trillions and thousands and hundreds.
Wow, that's good teaching.
30,000 feet. And nothing could constrain it. No height, no depth, no width, no density, nothing. And if you tried to explain this in words, you would sound like a fool. People would say, I don't believe you. Mm-hmm. Because it cannot be that simple. Mm-hmm. It has to be a catch to it. I have to sacrifice something to get a result in terms of an action. And that's not how it works. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So as we continue to practice love, and all you're going to hear from us is unconditional love and unconditional love and unconditional love and not only unconditional love, but the more you do this, the more you connect yourselves to God's source creator to manifest anything that you are desiring.
Oh my God.
Because again, God only creates what? Unconditionally. Everything you're desiring or wanting to manifest, you have to create from that place of unconditional love and not judge it. People get things, oh, well, the screen is cracked now. And now they're unhappy. But then when the next new phone comes out, they'll go spend thousands of dollars. You see what I'm saying? Love that thought. Unconditional love. Oh, it is unconditional love you and I need to reach when you are found it. You have reached your goal in life. Now Christ constant is reached, and now you're one of God's gifts to the earth. Did you hear that?
Yep.
You are now one of God's gifts to the earth. And we don't mean that in an arrogant way. We mean that in the most humblest way.
Right, right.
Anson was the gift to the plane. Not that they did not have their own giftings. But everybody was in a place of what? Low vibration. The person, watch this. He mentioned the kids, but what was the state of the parents? I gotta quiet this baby. You see what I'm saying? The parents is probably stressing and doing everything they can. The baby's colicky. All this
They're probably
noise.
not wanting other people to, react.
React. They're afraid somebody gonna say something about the kids.
Right.
Kids are being kids.
Right. That's good.
But people forget they're kids.
Right.
And have no patience because they don't stay in love and forget they were once like that as kids. That's why we always say, be ye as what? Little children. Play as little children.
Right.
Stay happy and creative all the time.
Glory to God.
When you're in that place, you cannot be in judgment and fear. And this is what we want to emphasize so much. Does that make sense? Unconditional love, when seen as desired alone, leads to what? Suffering. Love here is seen as need. I need to attach oneself to others in order to achieve a sense of security and belonging. Sorry about that misspelling. Rather than love's true nature of openness and fearlessness. True unconditional love, true unconditional compassion and unconditional love have no territorial boundaries. They are freely offered and received.
That's good.
Okay? Unconditional love is just not for one person. Freedom here becomes law because you project onto others what you can only truly realize within yourself. I hope y'all catch this. Anson was in alignment with himself. He was in love with himself.
That's good.
Whatever that meant to Anson, he loved himself in the moment to say, you know what, I'm not going to complain about the length and the confinement and the noise of this space. But instead, I'm going to take an opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So unconditional love just for not himself, but for others.
Glory to God.
That's the perfect freedom that we're talking about. That right there brings you into the realization of who you are. You are love. You are made in what? The image and the likeness of Creator, and given what? Dominion over all the earth.
Wow.
God is what? Love. You are what? Love. Duh. 1 + 1 is 2. All day. It's simple. All right. The dependency becomes a trap for true freedom. Is now freedom is dependent on another. What can result is giving to get or conditional love, thinking that the other can fulfill you, manipulating to keep the other, over, under, romanticizing, creating ideal, thinking that the beloved belong to them or town or be owned, possession, control, or be controlled. Anybody understand what that means? In other words, they have to attach themselves, the man had to attach himself to the things, and he's grumpy. So he created a place of, I'm going to curse myself all the way till I get home. And then I'm going to cuss the wife out if I see her. I'm going to cuss the kids. I'm going to cuss the cab. I'm going to cuss the servant. I'm going to cuss the maid. I'm going to cuss the dog, the cat, and the birds and the trees. You see what he's doing? Okay. And here's how you know if you are possessed or if another is possessed. First thing is and eternally you will feel it in your body. What does fear feel like? Oh, think about what I just said. What does fear feel like? So in other words, you have to associate something within your body, which means there's going to be a physical change within the body, meaning the heart is going to what? Get erratic, speed up. You're going to get the tunnel vision, fight or flight, right? You feel these symptoms within the body.
Glory God.
This is how you know you are possessed, and you can see it on others. He can sense this person is possessed by the spirit of grumpy. But we're going to call it something else. We're not going to call it grumpy. We're going to call it despair. Despair. He was in despair at his lowest place to curse himself, to curse the things. When you're there, where else can you go? There's nothing below despair because you feel like there's nothing else. And then after that is what? Revenge. I got to get back at somebody because I was in despair. Does that make sense? And then they go through the level of emotions. And what Anson did was, watch this, I hope y'all get this. Within hours, he was able to influence that vibration very quickly. Here's how we know why. The man was grumpy days before he got there. We can assure you of that. Almost guaranteed. If you're there complaining, what were you doing before?
Complain.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he had built up that reality of misalignment in himself and that perception of himself, of low thinking of himself.
Wow, that's good.
But look how quickly. Boy.
Glory God.
This is why we overemphasize the teaching of Master of Christ consciousness and say, hey, go back to the beginning and read what the miracles are about. Go back and go through it and redo it, because you're not going to get it at once.
Right.
But now, once you get it, you can see and change your environment. You change the environment of a plane. You know how powerful that is?
Mm-hmm.
That is huge, huge. But people won't see it in those terms. They'll think it is, oh, that's just coincidence because the man was tired, so he just fell asleep. Nope, that wasn't it at all. Does that make sense? So many times the deepest lessons you learn from the most difficult relationships, those that prepare us for the real relationship with ourselves. What Anson did and what you all do is when you all influence others to feel better about themselves, wow. Y'all see where we're going with that?
That's great, yes.
They get into a personal, loving relationship within themselves.
My God. That's good teaching.
Within myself, what is my power of influence? Unconditional love. If at the end of the day, your superpower is what? Unconditional love. Because what? Love never fails.
That's good.
That's your superpower.
That's good.
That's every last one of our superpowers is unconditional love. And as long as we stay there, we can change our community. We can change our environment. We can influence those that are around us. We can heal those that don't even know that they've been healed by the presence and the thought that we're projecting to them. Because they're in a place of non-recipient. They're in a place of resisting. But because we are in the flow of alignment,
yes,
they see that and are drawn to that.
Glory God.
They ask within their spirit to come across your path. Whether they spoke it or thought it.
That's good.
Everybody get that?
Yep.
One cannot enter the one by seeking separate or dualistic means to enter the one. Who is the one? Say God.
God.
One can only seek dualistic mean and tendencies to reach the door. Love is enough to stand into itself, and love needs a voice. This voice is wisdom. Love is whole and self-contained. Love is a container, the vessel, the crucible, the beginning, and the result. Love in its truth needs say nothing, but this is not perceivable to most people. Woo! This is why love needs the voice of wisdom to express itself. The man said, you got an old soul. How do you know that? Because unconditional love will reveal the truth of who he is. You get that? And mistaking him for a teenager, but notice the peculiarity about him. You're wise beyond what you physically look like. So I'm going to listen, watch this, to what we have to say coming from you. And at the end, now we have a communion, we have a friendship. We parted ways. Wow, good stuff.
That's excellent.
Love is the sharing of wisdom. Wisdom is the eloquence of love. Ooh, all right, jump down to access true wisdom requires that our mental bodies be crystallized and strengthened, and it requires a breaking down of this mental body. What we mean by that is the more you practice unconditional love, the lighter your body feels, the whole your body is, you won't get sick. Sickness, disease, virus, and infections cannot live in your body when you're in this place of unconditional love. We promise you that.
Wow, that's deep. That's good. Good teaching.
Once it has crystallized and reached its apex, love has to enter and topple the building so that it can expand out into what? The infinite. You're always expanding infinite love. Your spirit is what? Infinite love.
I'm looking forward to the new year now.
To do this requires the greatest act of courage based on love, which is what? Wisdom. Love will take one from this point into the present period. This is the hardest thing to do. Often you have spent a lot of money, a lot of time, money, effort, and study, and acquiring clarity of mind, a clear reason, and analytical, decisive thinking that brings one to the state of so-called empowerment to the height of their mental faculties, to a certain brilliance and impressionability, the mind, body, and soul, which make you admire clever, intelligent, good, beautiful, and holy, which is who you are. That makes sense?
Yep.
When we reach this stage, there is nowhere else to go other than to soften down, drop into love, not negating these qualities, but dissolving their limitation, allowing them to expand to their natural potential. Then sharpness and clarity is behind the emptiness and badness. Look at this. Hour by hour, he could see this man's change. To me, that's incredible. Where am I at? Oh.
Then sharpness and clarity.
Yes, go ahead.
Then sharpness and clarity is behind the emptiness and vastness of loving consciousness and can then come forward at the right time. It's still within this vastness, this softness.
At the right time is always in the now. Man could have been on another flight. Could have made somebody else grumpy, right? For those that are more love-oriented, they reach this vastness by growing their love to heal, embrace, and encompass more aspect of themselves and more aspect of the people around them. In this embrace, wisdom is required to expand out, so when one is loved, naturally one is drawn to experience thank you, the feeling of compassion, to seek the assistance of the mind and helping them to expand their love and compassion further. Compassion or benevolence is love-centered and responding to others with the total empathy born out of the softness of it. In other words, we don't want to see nobody suffer. But here's the secret. You can't go into suffering with them. A physician cannot get sick to make you whole.
That's good. That's good teaching.
You get what I'm saying? I can't go broke to help you get rich. And I won't do it. I like where I'm at.
Amen.
Make sense?
Yep.
To choose kindness is to choose gratitude. as it shows that you value the kindness that you have been given in order to exist, and even have the blessing of having a body. God has extended the compassion to you, and now to receive more of this compassion, of this benevolence, we give it away in our action to our fellow beings. Mm-hmm. Every single time we see somebody suffering, every time somebody stops you in the grocery line and all of a sudden starts telling you all their personal business, and all of a sudden you are going, why out of all these people talking to me, but then you shift your thinking and give them exactly what they need in that very short amount of time between the checkout and your car. And by the time in that short frame, are they not happy? Mm-hmm. And nobody behind is complaining, but all are attentive, yes, and listening and thinking the thoughts and agreeing with the thoughts, whether they verbally express it, and you might have a few who might add on. You ever had those? Mm-hmm. And then it enhances the whole experience. Amen. And nobody's complaining about, I'm standing in this long line and the machine is broke and this lady's car ain't working. And this one done pulled out a gang of CBTs and blah, blah, blah. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. To be truly happy is to live in gratitude. That's good. Living in gratitude and in grace means accepting whatever comes one way, both good and bad, and with what? Thankfulness. He says, enter his gates with thanksgiving. Be thankful for. Anson might not say, I was thankful for the man, but at the end of the day, he was thankful for the man. Because the man raised his vibration, had a good conversation. Mm-hmm. And out of infinite wisdom, he taught this senior who didn't think he could learn anything. Good stuff. Make sense? Yeah. There is no exception to what one can be thankful for, as gratitude wears down our resistance to conflicts, humbles us and brings us into joy and oneness as we start to see that if we thank and bless all things in our life, we enter peace and benevolence to all. Try this. Thank all painful and beautiful occurrences that happen to you today and see how you feel. Glory to God. Just simple exercise. Whatever we get off or whatever you have that moment, just take that simple thought. Okay? Wisdom becomes the support of the Lord-oriented being, supports that allows them to become more loving. Without the support, love would flounder, collapsing into the holes of the small, self-wrapped up in the misunderstanding, lack of focus, and denial of one's true worth. Love is clarity on all levels of consciousness. Wisdom is support for that clarity. All right, we're going to stop about there. There's a whole lot on that one, but we won't get into it tonight. But if you can take a moment of your time and go through it. If you have any questions, email me or ask me about it, and we can talk about it. But basically, it's the shadow sides of loving wisdom, which is sloth. Sloth is basically thinking. Basically, sloth is just another form of laziness. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. People, here's why we say the shadow side of it, and then we'll close. When people are lazy thinking, it's easy to go back into old habits instead of I'm going to progress forward and try to go into the unknown. It's easy to go back and stay where they are that never worked for them and then try to justify why they're there and then point their finger at you on why you're moving forward.
That's good.
That makes sense? Mm-hmm. So our job is to shift those thinkings, and not even by the words, but just how they see our light shining, how we're having our relationship, how we're flowing, and how we're manifesting, how we're meaning. They need to see that, and then the words will come, and then the action, then they'll become value in themselves.
Yes. I have something to share, because today, well, really for the past few days, I was looking for trucks that pick up scrap metal for free. Mm-hmm. And you always see them, they say, metal will pick up metal free, appliances. You see them all the time. So I was on the internet trying to find them. Everybody charged. And I found this one truck and I called him. And he said he charged. So I was at the gas station here and I was getting gas. And then I saw this older gentleman, a Mexican guy in a truck. He didn't have no trash pickup and nothing on it. It was just a truck. And someone said, go ask this man, does he pick up scrap and use stuff? So I was talking to him in limited Spanish. Right?
Y'all catch that? You got limited Spanish on this conversation, so we got lack of no communication.
Yeah, almost no English. But I kind of explained to him about, equipment. So I pull over out of the gas stall over to talk, and I showed him pictures of some stuff. And I said, I just need this picked up. And I was showing him, this is free. This is free. This is free. I thought he was local here. But I said, where is it then? I said, I had him follow me over to the restaurant, and I started helping him putting stuff on the truck. And he said he could do it in 2 days because he has a job. So he said 2 more days, I can get it. So, and he said, you live here? I said, Riverside. I said, where you live? He said, San Bernardino.
Wow.
Now what's the chances?
The chances
I'm riding around Rio Valley looking for somebody.
Let me explain.
When I stopped looking,
there it is. For my audience, where we live geographically and where he's talking about is a great distance. It's not far, but it ain't a short drive.
Right, you gotta do 215.
You gotta do some stuff to get there. But what we're saying is that love, watch this. You didn't curse the equipment. You didn't curse the situation. You didn't get angry with yourself or blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, here this man, 25 miles away, comes exactly, now watch this. Don't speak no language, English, other than his native tongue, and you got your native tongue, and y'all come together and make it work for free.
Yeah.
He needed it, and you needed it, and now there's a communion of a relationship. Does that make sense? In other words, I want y'all to notice what he just said. He says, I let it go. In other words, I surrender. I surrender to trying to put action into this when all I gotta do is just stop and decree what I want.
And I realized, I said, you know what? Why not just do this to start with? I burned up gas driving around Moreno Valley.
You're gonna burn up gas? High out here, 349.
And then when I give up, he pumping gas over there. We not even at the same stalls. He over there, I'm over here.
They met the same
gas and I look.
You cannot make this up. You cannot make this stuff up. But he stayed in love, and the man stayed in love, and nobody was in disagreement. Speaking in tongues, and y'all came together and spoke one tongue. That's some good stuff. All right, we there's so much in that, but and I thank all of you for allowing me to ask you all to give me questions, and this is fun for me. This is actually kind of a break for me. What do you mean, Pastor? Well, because we can teach the lessons, but we want to know where all of you are, that we can address it personally. That way we can tweak and enhance where you're at. Because if we don't ask, how will we ever know? So it's better to ask and say, hey, what would you like to learn? What can we teach? What can we explain more on? What can we make this more enjoyable, more happy, more surreal, if you will, whatever you want to define it at. You know what I'm saying? So, and we thank you because these all play in together. Sudi, how to pray for his student, how we all now understand benevolence, and how we all have stayed in unconditional love and not judged or feared. Or at the end of the day, God did not give you fear, but power, love, and what? A sound mind. And once you stay in that alignment, now you can be, do, have anything you want. And now the 5 steps to manifest what you want comes easily because you're creating from a place of unconditional love, which means every day when you get up and you're meditating and you're quieting the mind, whether that be walking in the grass, whether that be I found myself meditating and washing dishes and finding enjoyment
Me too.
in that.
Yeah.
The little things.
Yes.
And not worried about this over here and this over here and the school over here, and I got to do this PowerPoint presentation, and I got these group of people who are late and this and they don't want to cooperate, and you got a little Hitler over here who wants to boss everybody around. Washing dishes. Ooh, dish soap smell good.
Yeah. That's
Water's nice and warm.
Glory God.
Got my music playing. I'm in my own world.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in that moment, I bless others.
Mm.
Those who come to my thoughts, I bless them. Answer comes to my thought, I bless them. I love them. Eltonia, Brother William, everybody comes to my thought, we bless them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's good.
All right.
Good.
Any questions, comments, concerns? All right. Hopefully I've answered everyone's questions. This is the first that we've done this, and we will do this more. Please email me this. We love this. We don't mind. We can teach from any perspective that you would like. It's still going to relate to this. I don't care how you relate it. It's going to come down to this, but we will show you how they're connected, because we're showing you all the variations of unconditional love that there are. Because people tend to think singularity when it comes to this, and it's not. It's what you're defining in that moment of how you're in that vibration of what love is. Is that it?
That's good.
All right. Heavenly Father, we thank you. We love you. We adore you. We thank you for this coming together. We thank you for all the questions that you've allowed to come forward, and we thank you for all the answers that have went out. And we pray that we open up our hearts and minds to receive it by faith and with love, to take it into our hearts and mind and soul, to take it into a world that is good, holy, and beautiful. We thank you for those that you put before us, new and old, that all we say and do will be of you and not of ourselves, using us for signs, wonders, and miracles. We pray that we lay down and give us peaceful dreams as we journey. We pray for health and healing in our bodies. We pray for our finance and abundance in our prosperity and our finances. We pray for our family, our friends, our neighbors, our neighborhood, the homeless, the sick and shut in, those in high and low government places. We pray for all the churches, all the ministries, all the teachings that are pushing you forward. We thank you for those that are here, that are present. Give them traveling grace to their destination. Continue to bless their evening. We thank you for our family in Canada. Continue to bless over my friend who's traveling back home to Georgia. We bless over the pilot, the assistant pilot, the navigator, the steward, those that are in his coming. We bless them and we thank you. This is our prayer. And we all say in Yeshua's name, amen, amen, and amen.
Amen.
We love you all. We thank you. Have a blessed one. I will definitely post this up on the YouTube. Have a blessed one.